Britain backed Ukraine to use weapons it supplied to attack targets inside Russia today, saying Kyiv has every chance of kicking Vladimir Putin's forces out of the country. Armed Forces Minister James Heappey said logistics sites on Russian soil were legitimate targets, amid a series of explosions at oil depots in recent days. And he said the UK was happy for weapons it has supplied to be used. Mr. Heappey also hit back at nuclear sabre-rattling by Kremlin henchman Sergei Lavrov, saying his comments were just noise. Russia's top diplomat has warned that NATO is now fighting a proxy war in Ukraine and there is a very serious risk the conflict could turn nuclear. Mr. Heappey told Times Radio, "It is completely legitimate for Ukraine to be targeting in Russia's depth in order to disrupt the logistics that if they weren't disrupted would directly contribute to death and carnage on Ukrainian soil." There are lots of countries around the world that operate kit that they have imported from other countries. When those bits of kit are used, we tend not to blame the country that manufactured it, you blame the country that fired it. The comments mark a further strengthening of the UK's position, as allies shift from caution against antagonizing President Vladimir Putin to supplying more and more lethal aid. Lavrov accused NATO forces of pouring oil on the fire by providing weapons, as he warned against provoking World War III. Claiming NATO its allies were attempting to bully Russia on the international stage, Lavrov warned that tensions between East and West are now worse than during the Cuban Missile Crisis at the height of the Cold War. Asked directly about the possibility of a nuclear war, he replied, "The risks are very significant. I do not want the danger to be artificially inflated, but it is serious, real. It cannot be underestimated." But Mr. Heappey told BBC Radio 4's Today program that the chances of nuclear warfare are vanishingly small. He told Mr. Lavrov to reflect on the reason there is a war in Ukraine being that Russia invaded, telling Sky News, "All of this noise from Moscow about somehow their attack on Ukraine being a response to NATO aggression is just utter nonsense." Mr. Heappey said there is every chance that the Ukrainians will see off the Russians in the invasion, arguing that Moscow's victory in the east of Ukraine is not inevitable. We'll see a conflict between two forces that are much more evenly balanced, where the Ukrainians have the advantage of defensive positions that have been dug in and prepared over the last 8 years, and that's going to make it an extraordinarily difficult nut for the Russians to crack, he told Sky. And with all the support that the Ukrainians are getting from around the world, there is every chance the Ukrainians can see them off. Germany is expected to finally authorize the delivery of heavy weapons to Ukraine today after weeks of dithering that has tarnished its reputation on the world stage and led to questions about its commitment to European security. Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht is expected to announce the delivery of around 50 Gepard anti-aircraft vehicles to Ukraine during a meeting of more than 40 nations that will take place at Ramstein Air Base later today. Germany's defense industry has been offering to sell the Gepard vehicles to Ukraine since February, but had been blocked from doing so by Chancellor Olaf Scholz's government, which led to outcry both inside and outside the country. The Gepard was first developed in the 1960s and for decades formed the backbone of Germany's air defense forces, having undergone several upgrades to its radar and targeting systems. Built on the chassis of a Leopard 1 tank, Gepards are equipped with two 35mm cannons which were designed to take out incoming aircraft and cruise missiles, but can also be used against drones and, if necessary, against ground targets. Later models were equipped with Stinger anti-aircraft missiles, but it is unclear if these are fitting to the ones that will be supplied to Ukraine. The Bundeswehr began phasing out the vehicle in 2010 in favor of the more modern VSL 2 Ocelot that is equipped with missiles as standard. Any Gepard vehicles supplied to Ukraine are expected to come from stockpiles that have sat unused since the Ocelot came into service. German arms company Krauss-Maffei-Wegmann first said back in February that it had 50 Gepards that could quickly be supplied to Ukraine if the federal government gave it permission to do so.